We are going to be seeing some of the top pros in the country skating today on vertical half-pipe ramps. Actually, 2 ramps back-to-back, guaranteeing some spectacular action. The skaters are going to be judged on the maneuvers that they pull off as they reach the top of the ramp. As you see, they go up in the air, and then they usually set up for some sort of maneuver, come down, set up to go on the other side. And in this case, they are going to be transitioning occasionally from the big ramp to the small ramp. We're getting ready with the first run of Reese Simpson. Reese Simpson dropping in now. He's from Encinitas, California. He's 22 years old, and he is getting off to a smooth start. Transitioning back and forth, up to the top of the ramp, setting up, back down, and ready to do it again as he comes to the other side. You see him using the lip of the ramp. There's a nice invert. Beautiful upside-down maneuvers. They plant their hands on the lip there and get the board up over their head. Sometimes they hang on to the board and sometimes they don't. Reese is a third-year pro. He's been skating for 12 years. Very nice tail slide there over the spine. It's a rock and roll. Transitioning to the other ramp. Slides across that coping there, and again transitioning to the big one, and he loses it. Let's look at that. There you see, as he came over the spine, the board just kind of slipped out from under his feet. Reese goes down. That'll be it for him. And he scores a 91.5. That's a very fine score. This is Sergi Ventura, and you see him now dropping in, trying to get over that ramp. He just lost it trying to make that transition. So he is going to start again. If you fall on your first trick, you do get a restart, or they call it a rebate in the sport. Sergi now, back and forth. He's from Virginia Beach, Virginia. That's called a disaster. And rock and roll. Sliding across the coping there. Now he's going to transition to the smaller ramp. Now the skaters have told me that this is actually a new wrinkle for them. For the majority of them, they are not used to skating on ramps that are back-to-back like this. So transitioning from one ramp to another is something that they're all not particularly familiar with. Some of the veterans are, but the younger skaters, it's going to be a new wrinkle, and they're having some problems with it. I think that the skater who uses that transition a little bit more is going to get some additional points for it, and it's probably going to help their cause. Sergi Ventura with a nice run, finally goes down. Let's look at one of these maneuvers. You see these guys get very high up in the air. They are able to twist the board around. They do incredible things. Now we're watching John Sonner. John, 18 years old, from Vista, California, and he's going to have to beat Sergi's score. Nice. That was called a Mick twist. That's a 540-degree rotation right there. John pulled it off very nicely. John has been skating now for 5 years, and this is his first pro contest, and John is doing a very nice job. See him just sliding along the lip of the ramp there. Now he's up on the spine, reverses himself and comes down, slides along the lip. Trying to string these maneuvers together and make them as smooth as possible. Smith grind there, and an invert. And another one. John has not made use of the mini ramp yet. As I mentioned earlier, these guys are not really familiar with a ramp built just like this one is, so consequently they tend to spend most of their time on the bigger vertical ramp. That's where you're going to see the big tricks. Nice, that was called a varial, switching the board, flipping the board around under his feet as he goes up in the air, and John is going to call it quits. That was a very nice run by John Sonner. Let's look at that McTwist again. 540 degrees, 1.5 rotations, nice and smooth. So John Sonner with 88.5 on that last run, and now here comes Danny Way. Danny Way starting right off with a McTwist himself in a one-footed air. He is really hot. This kid is 15 years old. He's the youngest pro on the tour. He took a real bad spill this morning. Oh, there was a varial. You saw him shifting the board, and another one. He is really hot, doing a lot of flashy tricks out there. He hurt himself, as I was about to say, as he transitions to the smaller ramp. He hurt himself in practice, came down on his tailbone very hard, and yet he has managed to pull himself together and get a nice routine going here. Now he's back onto the big vertical ramp. Tail sliding. And there's called rock and roll. Beautiful moves. This guy is really putting them together. You'd never know that he's hurting right now. There's an invert. Another one. Very nice. He kind of spun the board there right at the last second before he hit the ramp. Back and forth, keeping the momentum. Axel Stahl, now he's up, and he's doing another. That was a backside air. Another. Getting ready for, oh, very nice. He does a 360, transitioning from the big ramp to the small ramp. Very nicely done. He's going to get some good points for that, you can be assured. Rock and roll. And another one. Back off the top of that spine. And another McTwist. He goes down. Wasn't able to hang on, and Danny's going to hang it up now. That'll be it for Danny Way. Very nice routine. And everybody seems to like that. Let's look at that transition. Beautiful, just like a ballet dancer, right across the spine of the ramp and onto the smaller mini ramp. So Danny Way now scores a 92.6. That puts him in the lead, and Tony Magnuson is the next skater he is going to have to beat, a 92.6 to get into the lead. He stalls, and he drops in, and he's going to slide along the tail. Tony Magnuson, also having injured himself earlier in the competition today. He hurt his arm. So Tony is getting some great height, though. I was just going to say he is very well known for getting very high aerials and doing a lot of fancy tricks. There's an ollie. He didn't even touch the board then. He does a lot of no-hand tricks. There's another one. These are all ollies. Whenever you're not touching the board, it's called an ollie, and he's doing lots of variations on that. Tony is a veteran. He's 26 years old. He's been skating for 14 years, and he's hot right now. But I can tell you this, you would see a lot more out of Tony if he was a little healthier. There's a nice McTwist, kind of a variation on it, and he likes that. He pulled it off. Tony's getting hot right now. Nice stalls on the platform, drops in again. And another stall. Comes up to the top of the rock and roll. And there's a nice rail-grabbing 360. Tony giving him a nice show here. There's another ollie. That's a front side ollie. Tony Magnuson, 8 years as a pro, doing a fine job with an injury today, and catches the rear truck on the board on the lip of the ramp, goes down. He's going to score 87.5, which will give Danny Way the victory with 92.6 points.
Or later this year. You would? Well, then get busy and send them in to us. They don't have to be professional, just gnarly, smoking, stoking, fun.
So we're just kind of screwing around, seeing the sights, taking a look at all the basic tourist spots.
Looks like fun.
Facing with the racing and the mason and the dude. Sideways seeing John Mills on the sideline talking rude. The temporal and corporal sit sights above the moon. Tweaking down the police sign by singing them a tune. Hit me! Yeah, here! Hit me!
Cops! Oh, cops, man, they're the coolest. They just come up to you, tell you not to skate here and walk away. Didn't matter, you could skate right out 2 minutes later. We went to the Bricks in Paris. Brick Bank's pretty cool, but a little bit raw.
It is set degrees, divide a circle square. Pencil out each portion, let a ruler keep it fair. Dedicate all history into this abstract here. Then throw away the paper, trade the circle for a sphere. Hit me!
Some people didn't like us. Some did.
God, that's really neat. I really like the way that looks. Looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
Looks fun. Looks fun. You guys do that all the time?
Yeah, all the time. It's great.
Yeah, the pond next to the Eiffel Tower was drained for repairs. We got to skate it. It was the best. Locals were at. We had a great time.
My day will come, I know someday it's right to want someone for your own, and not to share her love. And I'll have my way, you won't have a say anyway. No, you don't stand a chance. But now you wait for a stop, or you know it'll turn you on. It's taking long, he's gonna make you feel the way you wanna be. Always starts to lie when he makes.
Carlos found these killer apartments with transitions up to the side, but the locals came out and kicked us out because we were screwing up their TV reception.
My day will come, I know someday, be the only one.
Oh yeah, look at that. That was good, huh?
After your self-destruction, you don't know what you want. It's gonna take you years. I'm not giving up. When you had enough, but take your bruised little head and come running right back to me.
We had a great time. They were really fun to ride. Guy came out yelling at us, telling us to get the heck out of there.
Pigs. They're not cops, they're just pigs.
High five!
In some ways, bungee is like skateboarding. You won't know what your limitations are unless you go for it.
The world's population today suffers from stress caused by the pressure of modern living. Notice scientists reveal
Frustration.
that's cool.
Hey dudes, what are you doing this summer? Do you have a video camera in your possession, or can you beg, borrow, or even steal one? Would you like to make a home movie and have it broadcast on Ultrasport later this year? You would? Well then get busy and send them in to us. They don't have to be professional, just gnarly, smoking, stoking, fun.
So we're just kind of screwing around, seeing the sights, taking a look at all the basic tourist spots.
Looks like fun.
Facing with the racing and the mason and the dude. Sideways seeing John Mills on the side, I talking rude. The temporal and corporal sit sights above the moon. Tweaking down the Foley sign by singing them a tune. Hit me! Yeah, here! Hit me!
Cops! Oh, cops, man, they're the coolest. They just come up to you, tell you not to skate here and walk away. Didn't matter, you could skate right out 2 minutes later. We went to the Bricks in Paris. Brick Bank's pretty cool, but a little bit raw.
It is set degrees, divide a circle square. Pencil out each portion, let a ruler keep it fair. Dedicate all history into this abstract here. Then throw away the paper, trade the circle for a sphere. Hit me! Ah, here! Hit me!
Some people didn't like us.
Here!
Some did.
Hit me! Ah, here! Hit me!
God, that's really neat. I really like the way that looks. Looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
Looks fun. Looks fun. You guys do that all the time?
Yeah, all the time. It's great.
Yeah, the pond next to the Eiffel Tower was drained for repairs. We got to skate it. It was the best. Locals ripped. We had a great time. Carlos found these killer apartments with transitions up to the side, but the locals came out and kicked us out because we were screwing up their TV reception.
Oh, yeah, look at that. That was good, huh?
It's gonna take you years. I gotta get it up. Well, you had enough. But take your bruised little head and come right back to me.
We had a great time. They were really fun to ride. Guy came out yelling at us, telling us to get the heck out of there.
Pigs. They're not cops, they're just pigs.
Click. 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 Click.
I can't figure out what he's making me actually.
Let's pull that lever.
Golly, I'm so impressed.
Aristotle, wishy-washy works outing, sink 'em and get articulate smartish.
What does it all mean?
Let's pull that lever.
Hey, that sounds good. Are you kidding?
There's not even talking about it. It's crazy.
Dangerous activity. It is estimated that 120,000 teenagers will be victims of this gang warfare. Innocuous-sounding club names such as the Trojans or the Rabbit Warriors announce the deadly activities of these groups. More on this later.
It will